What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Daily Rage Quit. I'm your host, Weiss, and of course, alongside me, the one, the only, Steelman.
What up?
And everybody, today what we want to talk about is our predictions for the much anticipated Sony PS5 conference that was recently moved from this week to another week in the future. Rightfully so. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. Our hearts and our thoughts are out to everybody out there. And just seeing PlayStation really and Sony stepping up and saying, really, there are more important voices out there than ours is just a great thing to hear.
Yeah, it was the right move to make in this time period that we're going through right now. So I'm glad they kind of pushed it back, allowed things to kind of settle down a little bit, and allowed some other people to be heard in this time period. They knew that they'd be a big distraction.
And so this is really big, guys, because with the PS conference, there has been a lot of chatter out there. What is the system going to look like? What's the pricing going to be? What kind of games are we going to be getting when it comes out? And Steelman and I have been having a lot of discussions around what we feel we are going to see out there. I think the very first thing that they're going to kick off the conference with, obviously, is an overview of the platform. And, Steelman, myself, and the rest of the community have already seen a lot about how the system works and how it operates, right? We had the dev conference, and we've also had a tech conference on what the graphics can potentially be, what the games could potentially be, because of the hardware. And it's been really cool to see, and a lot of great marketing leading up to it. And this is a real big chance for Sony to blow it out of the water. And what we get to see now is what the system is actually going to look like. And for me, personally, I've seen a lot of concepts, a lot of cool concepts, a lot of shitty concepts. Some of you out there,
a lot of shitty ones.
Yeah, stop making fucking shitty concepts out there. I don't need to see a fucking box. Although one concept I did see stealing that was totally awesome. It isn't even PlayStation, it was Xbox, but it showed the Xbox, the new Xbox series as a refrigerator, as like a home decoration, because that's how big it would be. That was fucking awesome. But for those of you out there, stop making shitty concepts. Like, there are some good ones out there, but if you know yours is bad, don't share it. We don't want to fucking see it.
No one wants to see that shit.
But if anything Sony knows, without a doubt, they're putting a lot of effort into the hardware. For me, I think we're going to get something fairly similar to like what we're seeing today. Personally, for me, Steelman, one of the big things is we're still going to get really no buttons on there. I think everything's going to be activated by the controller all over again. And I think it's going to be limited. I think the inputs are going to be on the back as always. And in the front, you're probably going to get it two USBs like you normally do. I don't think we're going to get anything showy.
I don't either. I'm with you on this 100%. I can't see them changing the design too much. I mean, the PS3 was a pretty crappy design, that big bubble that you had. And then the PS4 drastically changed it, came out, blew everyone away. It was beautiful. I mean, it still is a beautiful system. I can't expect them to go too far off that. Hopefully smaller. Maybe smaller, a little more compact. That would be nice. That big V-shaped thing that I've seen that I guess they've given to people, devs and stuff, and like people are like, "This is what it's gonna look like." I'm like, "No, there's no way it's gonna look like that. That thing looks terrible." But yeah, one thing I would like to see more of, and I thought we'd get it on PS4, but they always do it on the later models, is USB ports. I hate USB ports in the front because it makes it look terrible. Like, I'm one of those very minimalistic people, so it's like I hate having the USB port with a cord coming out of the front and my controller sitting there next to it. I want all that stuff in the back. Just put them in the back or put them on the side where I can't see them and they don't mess up my whole TV area. So yeah, that's the one thing I would like. I agree, though. Minimalistic buttons that are small and probably just touch buttons, definitely. I wonder if it'll be white or black. I don't know. The controllers seem to be going white, which I am not a fan of. I just picked up a PS4 white controller, and it's dirty in a week. So I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's showing just signs of dirt on it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on color? You think they stick with a two-tone like they kind of did with the controller, or They go white or they go black. I don't know.
I think when it comes to colors and tones, especially, here's something interesting, and I put this into a very different perspective. The gaming culture today is very different than it was 4 years ago, right? It was a lot of still like, younger generation with, just like a shitty TV stand and throw your console underneath and call it a fucking day. Today, though, people are building out media rooms specifically for their entertainment, like their gaming systems. So they build these things around what the system is. So if they come out with a shitty color that does not go with everyone's aesthetic or everyone's media room that they've built specifically for gaming, they're going to run into some issues. And it's not that big of an issue to me, honestly, because a lot of people mod all their PlayStations anyway to make them look the part of their media room. So hopefully, they don't just come out with like, just a white and black machine. Hopefully, black machine would be fine, right? That's so
just do everything.
It's a neutral color. It goes across everything, but who knows? We might get gray, blue, red. Who the fuck knows? But that's not in Sony's DNA to necessarily do that. It's more of like when they launch games and then they have to change the aesthetic of the box. But get ready, everybody. We're going to have a bunch of modders out there going to make some cool PlayStations to begin with.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing we got to talk about that they're definitely going to hit is hardware. They got to hit the repeat button on hardware once again. And because of them showing the system, Steelman, this is what's going to be really cool. There's a lot of hardware in that system. So is it actually going to make it bigger? Or is the hardware small enough where we might get a system that's probably the same? Like, what are they going to hit us with on the hardware side?
I mean, so they've already announced kind of the specs on it and all that stuff. So we're not going to get too much of a surprise here. I think the showstopper is the SSD, right? We now have a solid state drive which runs really fast and is going to, improve load times, allow them to have better textures because they can quickly access them. I think that's going to be the showstopper. I think they'll probably go into some depth on that. I think they'll probably get into the nitty gritty of like what the SSD does for developers. And they'll kind of brag about that and flex their muscles on that one a bit. The GPU and the CPU stuff, like I don't expect them to get like too much into it because it's just like, hey, this thing's better and better than the last one. We get it, blah, blah, blah. And then the memory, kind of the same thing. I can't remember what the memory stats are, but, I don't think they're going to get too crazy. They're going to mention them and then kind of go on to, whatever's next. But yeah, I think I think we'll have some good stuff to talk about with the solid state drive. I'll be curious to hear what they say about that and what it's done for speeds and what it's done for the devs.
I hope one thing that we get to see from the hardware side, obviously, we got a really, really great system that started up. Now let's play a game and show you what it does. But what I want them to actually do is not just show a game, but I want them to like pause a game, go through the interface, and show me how the system computes all of that, right? It could stop a game that's running instantaneously, and I don't have to wait 45 fucking seconds to go into my friends section to go join a chat, or potentially wait a minute and a half because my hard drive is too filled up to actually go in and run through the interface. It's a huge issue in general with PlayStation right now at this very moment. We witnessed it the other night playing Call of Duty. It's like, okay, now everyone, we got to back out because Call of Duty had its own issues trying to find friends. So we had to join through the chat, but the game is running and my PlayStation sounds like a fucking jet engine that it took forever to get into the chat. And then not only that, but also took forever for it to connect to the game and making that sequential order of fluidity happen so that we could join up together. I hope they can show how powerful the machine is, not just from a gaming perspective, but also from an interface perspective as well.
Yeah, I think this is something that's happened in the latter years of this console generation, especially with the big games coming. Call of Duty being one that's, I don't know how many gigs it's up to now. It's 100 and over 100. Red Dead Redemption, same thing. Like, all these massive games coming in, and more importantly, they're just taxing the CPU, and you when you get up to the user interface, it just goes so slow, and it's just, oh man, it's painful sometimes. This hasn't been a problem throughout the console's life. It's just towards the end of it. I think we're going to see more and more of that as the console starts to kind of slowly fade out into, ride out into the sunset, as they might say. So
Absolutely. Oh yeah. See you fucking
yeah,
later.
yeah. So I mean, I hope that we get a new user interface. Definitely. The one that they have now is kind of confusing. I'm not a huge fan of it, especially if you're in like Netflix or something. You back out of Netflix to go to the user interface. And then like sometimes you hit circle, sometimes you hit PlayStation. I'm not the PlayStation button. I'm not sure which one it is sometimes, and it doesn't go back to it right away. I still can't figure out why or how that is so different from time to time every time I use it. So I just want to see something different. Like make it simple. The what does they call it? The XM or X whatever it is. It's I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
The fucking user interface is atrocious. It's never been Sony's or PlayStation's strong suit because they're a gaming console. Totally get it. Let's get the good games on. They've always had better exclusives than everything else. We get it. But man, I didn't even think about like running through Netflix or running through Hulu and pulling back, and then like how slow it operates all of a sudden, even from that, or how clunky it is. Going through your friends list, even go through like the PlayStation Store can kind of be a nightmare at times. I feel like it was a second thought. So I hope we will definitely see the UI without a doubt. I think they're gonna press on. We're gonna hear the new noise. I hope it's a cool noise from the PlayStation, and then I hope the interface really is a step up. I don't need it to be insane and totally different. I think you put it the best way possible. It's gotta be simple, man. Like don't overcomplicate a fucking system that is a gaming platform that can also be used for watching TV and shit. I think you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, I agree again. Yeah, don't make it too crazy. And I don't know. We might not even see it in this conference. I don't think we saw it in the PS4 conference. I can't remember, but we might not even see that until later. It might not be. They might not be finished with it yet. Who knows? I don't know how that works. You'd think they'd design it relatively early on, but who knows?
One thing we're definitely going to fucking see is the controller. Hurts so much about that fucking controller, dude. And they haven't made a ton of changes to it from an aesthetic, right? It's still got the PlayStation feel, the look. It's all going to have the same grip, which will be nice. But there is probably going to be a lot of features that are going to change the way in which we game with it. No doubt in my mind. One thing that stood out to me, obviously, is the adaptive triggers. I'm trying to figure out which games they're going to be, but I know you had a couple thoughts from from your perspective when we last chatted, which were really cool. I think from a driving game perspective, you'll see some. Madden, of course, it's like, oh, do you want to pass it short or do you want to pass it long, or do you want to twist left or twist right, and how hard do you want to twist? Like that's cool, but I want to see something cooler than that. I want to see something where like you get the feel of it, bring the immersion into the game, not just how lightly you tap everything.
Yeah, I'd like to see some like slowly opening doors. Like I think every game should have the ability to slowly open a door. I don't see why you wouldn't. You can do that in real life. No one just flings doors open in real life. So I would love to see that built into the controller and just have every game from now on just have that as a thing where you can slowly open the door based on how much you press the button, right? And that haptic feedback can come back and it could vibrate a little bit as you get it going. I think the big thing is going to be like bow and arrows and racing games and stuff where you have throttles. Flying a helicopter in Battlefield, stuff like that could be fun. Yeah. one of the things I really look forward to, and I really hope, because Call of Duty's done such a good job with their gunsmith. One of the things in real life is that when you fire a gun, it's your trigger has different weights to them, and those weights are determined by a spring inside, and you do pound per square inch on the trigger. A lightweight trigger is very easy to pull. A heavy trigger is very heavy to pull. I would love to see Call of Duty implement that in their gunsmith, because they have lightweight and heavyweight triggers already. I want to see them. What a lightweight trigger really does in real life is make it really easy to pull that trigger, and you can pull it real fast, and you actually feel that on your controller, versus a heavy trigger where you have a lot of slack that you have to pull before you hit that wall, and then you actually fire the weapon. I would love to see that, and if they showed that off, I think it would blow people's minds. I think that would be really cool. If you could do that, and even like maybe have a custom trigger that you eventually unlock in your gunsmith, and you could set the weight to whatever you want. I like light triggers in real life. Some people hate them because they're really easy to pull. But I would love to see that. That would be really cool. It would take it to the next level. And we talk about immersion all the time on here, and there it is right there. I think that's an immersive quality.
As soon as you said that, I thought about not just the lightweight, but the heavy trigger mechanism, which was really cool, because if you're a sniper and you're like in the distance, no snipers just go like this, right? They kind of pull back to hold the right spot. And it'd be really cool to figure out like how you feel the tension on a heavy trigger. So just as you're about to shoot somebody, rather than just like click it and shoot, it's like hold it down a little bit as you're tracking someone and pop.
Yeah. That's super realistic. Yeah, man. Like that's what you do. Like if you're waiting on a target, you're holding that trigger, you're pulling the slack out of it, and there's a wall. And when you hit that wall, you kind of just hold it there. And that wall is just a strong resistance. It just you feel it. And when you get it to that point, you know that the next movement of your trigger finger backwards is going to fire the gun. And that's what you could do with this. Like you could literally do it where it's like you pull the slack out and you're ready, and you know that you can feel it now because there's haptic feedback on it, and when you pull it, it's going, and that is cool for a sniper situation, or like you're waiting to take your shot even on a normal gun. I think that's cool, or a bow and arrow as well. Like feeling that tension in it. It's I think all of these things. I would love to see them show it off. I don't know if they will. I hope that they show off something with the controller, because I think we're all kind of excited about it. So. But yeah, man, that's going to be the big one, I think, is the controller.
I think also with the controller, too, I think just some little things that are going to make a difference. One, the battery. I'm really curious about battery life on the controller. Actually, PlayStation 4, I was pretty impressed with battery life. For the most part, you always had two controllers no matter what, so you always had a backup just in case. But the battery life was pretty decent for a good, solid session of gaming. I hope they just increase this enough where it doesn't drain out. I hope they give the same thoughtfulness into the battery life as well. Along with that, the Bluetooth capabilities on it too. The controller easily connects. There's never been problems with it. I hope there's a lot of fluidity, being that is not directly connected with the system, but has to be through Bluetooth connection. So hopefully that all works out. And then the final thing I'm always thinking about is the DualShock. It's always been about DualShock, man. Like PlayStation 1,
now, right?
Oh, DualSense. Sorry,
it's called
everybody.
The DualSense.
oh shit. I mean, before there was no such thing, right? Then you got to DualShock, then you got into DualSense. I would love to just see enhancements to it. I mean, it just needs to immerse you into the game a little bit more. Hopefully there's some advancements there that allow us, as you shoot a gun, you can feel the rumble, right? A little bit better. Or if you're running, you can kind of feel the heaviness of the footsteps there. I just want to see a little bit more out of those. And I think they're going to talk a lot about that too.
I'm really excited about the controller too. I think the one thing is that I would also like to see is battery life continue to be great. PS3 was kind of notorious for having some crappy battery life controllers that they would lose their battery life over time too. And PS4 did a good job with that. I don't really think I have a controller where my battery life has diminished. I'm sure it has a bit, but not noticeably so. I mean, I could still run controllers for 2 days of gaming, 3 days of gaming before they run out. I don't know if that's the case with everyone, but I don't have to charge them every night. Headset a little different, but that's the different can of worms, and we'll get into that a little bit later too. I think when we talk about audio a bit, but yeah, I think the big thing is like how much will the haptic feedback drain the battery down, because it sounds like it's a lot more. Like it sounds like there's going to be a lot more technology into the controller, a lot more electronics into the controller. So you'd expect it to be worse, but at least it's not Xbox where you have AA batteries in there that you can't recharge.
Oh, what a crock of shit. They had the battery charger for it, but it was like you had to fucking pull it out and put it in, or you plugged in your place. What the fuck was that? Like, come on, it's fucking 2020. Hey, like, let's get out of the Stone Age and get into the fucking real world. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking when they did. I'm pretty sure the last Xbox, right, Xbox One, they still had AA batteries when they launched. Now I think they have the chargers, right? You can pull them out. But it was a big thing for, like, I remember the last conference, everyone was like, really? Like, come on, guys. PlayStation 3 had rechargeable controllers, which, obviously has proved to be the way to do it. But yeah, I think we'll continue to get good controllers. I think controller size will be another thing. I wonder what the size is like. I think they nailed it on PS4. People complained about the PS3 controllers, but PS4 controllers, I think no one really complained about. They're pretty comfortable.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, the size of it. Hopefully, they don't make it too bulky. I hope they don't. I hope they kind of just go with their gut, like they did with PlayStation 4, and just like don't over engineer it. Don't break something that isn't broken. If you want to enhance it, take the things that are great, repurpose, and then bring in the new shit for us, because we are excited to see some new shit with it. One thing I will say that we did talk about that you mentioned earlier is audio. And one thing that hasn't been mentioned at all about Sony at all is, okay, so cool, you got audio engines running, you've got the Unreal Engine talking about audio, but like, what does that mean for the user, right? What does that mean when we get into this world of audio? Are they actually even going to talk about it at the conference? Because I would love to see two things. One, how they plan to hear how do they adapt to my hearing, like what we heard from the dev conference. But the second thing is, are you going to actually like talk about the headset? Because I think a headset is just as important as the controller and everything else a part of the game.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of surprised about this one. The headsets are still considered an accessory. In the PS4 launch, we got that little dinky headset that had to be worth about 3 cents that you put in one ear, and you had the little mic on it, and it was terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't even a real thought. It was just like, here's a fucking headset that a fucking airline will give you when you get on because you forgot your headphones. And they are terrible. It's like one ear. It's got the cushion on it that's like as big as a fucking quarter, because nobody's ears are as big as a fucking quarter except for giants and freaks. So like, yeah, it was stupid.
Yeah, it was just lame. I can't believe I actually used that thing, because I have a pretty good surround sound system. So I actually used that thing for about a year because I love my surround sound, and I could hear people behind me and all that. But I mean, like, now when I hear someone get on and they're doing it, and you can hear like all of their surround sound in the background, like, now I feel bad for you guys, because you guys had to deal with me playing Battlefield 1 probably, and everything exploding in the background with the amount of nade spam that was in that game. And just like, God, you guys must hated that. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I'm onto the headset now.
Yes, but, you have which headset are you rocking?
I'm actually rocking the PS Gold, and the only reason I don't have the Platinum is because I've heard it's kind of had some issues and breaking, and the longevity of it isn't great. So I've heard a lot of reviews that said that. So I went back with the Golds. I've had the Golds I've had 2 of them now. I had one pair that a friend gave me, and then another one that I bought after because it was so good, and I enjoy them. Oh man, this is something we need to see, Sony. and everyone's going to agree with this. And you just reminded me of it as I was talking. But the ability to control individual voices of their friends in your party chat, like
yes.
be able to, like, if you have your one buddy who's super loud and he can't, control his headset, you could turn him down a little bit, and like that. Oh man, that would make life so much better, because you get into a party chat and you have your buddies who are super loud and your buddies that are super quiet. And if you boost it up to hear them, your other buddies are screaming in your ear. You can't hear the game. If you boost it down, you can't hear your other buddies who are quiet. I would just love the ability to tweak everyone's individual audio in the party chat. That would be a monumental breakthrough when it came to party chat. I don't know if Xbox does that. I have no idea. But I'm sure like one of the PC programs has that. But I think that would be really cool. But sorry, I digress. But back to the headset. One of the things I'm surprised that we don't just do is mark it up, go up to $600. I know Sony has a bad taste in their mouth with a $600 price point from the PS3 that didn't really sell well. But go up to $600, include a good headset in the thing. Go up to $550 and include a good headset in there. Or maybe not sell it with a game in one of the bundles, and sell it with a headset. Sell it with a good headset that's made for the PlayStation. I would buy that. I would be more inclined to buy that because I know all the launch titles are going to be trash, as they usually are. They're always just like ported over garbage. And sorry, I'm a little bit of a naysayer when it comes to launch titles. I'm not a huge fan. I think you get these games that are just over graphically compensating with their graphics, and they have no gameplay, and they're all kind of garbage. But yeah, so I would love to see that. I think it would be cool if they came out and said, "Hey, listen, we're going to include a really nice headset in this." Like, I buy a nice Samsung phone, you buy a nice iPhone or whatever it is. Like, they include a nice headset. Sometimes that's part of the thing. At least Samsung has done that on several phones, and it's like cool. Like, you get a nice like $50 pair of headphones. Like, that's not a bad gig. I mean, and that doesn't cost them a whole lot to do. They can do that easily. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Talking about easy, man. Dude, Sony. Like, yeah. I've owned a pair of Sony cans.
Yeah.
Not PlayStation specific. They were fucking awesome, man. They were built well. I used them in the city. So for those of you that needed to know, I lived in New York City, so I needed to drown out the noise on the subway and walking down the streets. These things were fucking badass. The battery life was, honestly, dude, it's almost like 9 to 10 hours before I had to recharge them. It was insane. So they have the capability of putting. Yeah. They could literally take the same exact fucking headphones and just like fucking rebrand it and throw it into a box, and probably cost them even less and get rid of some of the old models. I don't care, but we could definitely use some new audio, because we talk a lot about audio and immersion in games, and headsets are more essential than ever before. I use a third-party brand right now that I love because it directly plugs into the controller. I don't do Bluetooth. The sound quality is pretty good from a microphone perspective, and also the audio quality is fucking outrageous. So I enjoy the cans that I have, and most people who are listening to this also have a great set of cans as well. Headphone cans. Easy there, everybody. All right. I get it.
Calm down.
Take it easy.
Yeah, dude. You think that would be, I mean, as Sony is a tech company, like, you think that would be a logical step here, is to just include a headset and let's get it over with. I'll pay extra money for it. I don't mind. So
I'll end it on this note. Give me some earbuds. Give me some dope earbuds. That would be pretty sick. So that way I can use it for my PlayStation and outside of it. Just throwing that out there, Sony. Give me some earbuds. That would be totally sick. All right. The other thing we got to talk about, obviously, with this conference coming up, is they're going to talk a little bit about the UI. I don't think they're going to go real in depth. I think they'll actually really dive into PlayStation user and profiles. Again, great. Thanks for another trophy system. Wonderful. Let's collect trophies. But I think the gaming community needs more, because the gaming community has a personality. The people playing games are very special. There's a lot more streamers out there. There's a lot of people following your content. There's a lot of people that you game with, and there's a lot of things that you want to express about yourself through the gaming world. And I think they really need to take the user and profile information, and they need to raise the bar. I mean, Steelman, it took them fucking 4 years just to allow people to change their usernames on PlayStation alone, without having to delete and what it cost you another like $50 or $90 to actually do it or some shit like that, or you couldn't even do it. I don't even remember. You couldn't even do it, so it was fucking stupid. And then eventually people complained enough where, all right, guys, you get 1-2 chances to change your username and have a great day. It's like, come on now. We could do a lot better than that. So they need to really come to the plate and really think about the gamer and who that individual is and being able to express themselves out there.
Yeah, I was using my old AIM screen name. That's how long I've had a PS user account, and it went back to college days. I mean, it's like 10 years old. I wanted to change my name. I finally changed it. But yeah, I agree. I think how the sharing works and how the DualSense has incorporated that too. I think that'll be a big part of what they talk about. I think with the rise of streamers, they have to emphasize streamers and how that's going to work. They had a great idea with what they did on the PS4 with allowing you to record gameplay and then save it, and you could even tweak that and save like an hour's worth of gameplay. I just like realized that like a year ago that you could change that from 15 minutes to like an hour or something, which is awesome. Like I think that's so cool, because I don't know how many times I've been like, oh man, like I want to show that to my friends, and now you like finally have the ability to do that, and it's so easy, like just to be like, all right, I'm going to clip this and blah blah blah. Something that we talked about yesterday when we were discussing this topic was remote play, and how remote play works. A great way to do this is be able to edit videos on your phone, that you record. That would be really cool. Like if you brought remote play in and was like, and you were like, hey, I don't want to sit here and use the controller to edit this video. Can I just get it on my phone and edit it there seamlessly, and like have editing software on an app on your phone? That's PlayStation. They could even make their own app that allows them to do that. Like it would be so much easier than sitting on your PlayStation and doing it. And I think touchscreen has a lot of ways to go there. So a lot of ways to improve that. So using a phone would be useful. But yeah, like I digress again. I just think the user interface, like they have to help incorporate some of this user stuff in there as well. I don't know where else to go, where like up is from here. But yeah, like connectivity is important. I think we'll see something from them from that standpoint, for sure. It's it's going to happen, but yeah. I guess we'll see.
It'll be interesting, I think, and obviously in this conference, without a doubt, they've mentioned it plenty of times. They're going to show games.
Yeah.
They're going to show launch games, and they'll probably show some games for the future, I'd imagine. There's been a lot of reports out there of like the different games that they're going to show, and Steelman, you hit it right on the head, dude. Like, I don't really remember great titles coming out for PlayStation. PlayStation 4 was kind of a bust, like from a launch title perspective. We had a couple games that was great, but it was a lot of ports from PS3 to PS4, which was fine. Like we still wanted to play those games, but like for some reason or another, we just get the same shit. Mm-hmm. And we're hearing reports on like, oh, I can't wait to see Madden. And it's like, dude, Madden is the same game for the past fucking decade. Yeah. Were you just going to show me the graphic comparison? Maybe it would be cool to show the adaptive triggers on Madden. Like, here's a soft throw, here's a hard throw. That's not really, it's not what I'm really there for. I know what Madden is. The PlayStation community, the gaming community knows what Madden is. We want to see some new shit. We want to see some stuff that's really going to really take us off our seats. The last time I remember like seeing a trailer for a launch title that was amazing and then total fucking flop, by the way, was Killzone. Killzone like had like the greatest trailer of all time. Everyone was blown away. Like, this is what the graphics are going to be like. This is what the UI is going to be like. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, no, it's not going to be that at all. Here's like, we're going to pump in another like $10 million into the game because we set the expectation bar way too high and we still didn't succeed. And it's going to be the same thing across the board, man. We got Battlefield 4 on PlayStation. And it took them like 3 to 4 months to make the game even worthy of playing before we can actually crush it. So I think we're gonna get some cool graphic stuff and some cool trailers and gameplay, but like I don't think it's gonna anything that's gonna blow me away.
No, I don't expect anything to blow either one of us away. To be honest, I just think they do this thing where it's like they get really hyped up. They know the main selling point for most people is graphics and what things are going to look like. So they're going to do a bunch of graphical stuff. But I think older generation gamers like you and I know that this is just a smoke and mirrors trick. And it's like, I can play a graphically beautiful game and still be bored to fucking tears. And be like, what the fuck? Is this thing over yet? Like, I'm done. Like, and usually I put it down before I even get to the end. And, I think everyone was kind of excited when PS4 came out because you get a new console, you get new graphics. Like, I was excited for Battlefield 4 to play that, and then it was broken, so we didn't even play it. But, like, I went over to, like, Killzone and played Killzone. It's beautiful, but it was boring. I got sick of it, and it's just, like Assassin's Creed was ported over. I think it was Black Flag or whatever it was called back then. That was another one. You're like, oh, this looks beautiful, but I've already played it. And like, I hope they give us something new, but I know there's not going to be just because developers haven't had that much time with the system. So they're not ready to release a straight out PS5 game yet. So we're just going to get ports most likely. And maybe 1 or 2 games that aren't ports, and but they won't be anything special. I'm sure it's just the way it is.
No, tons of ports, no doubt in my mind. It's almost all ports or all cross-platform for the most part. I mean, look at the big studios. Look at the big studios, man. I mean, Activision may launch on it, which might be interesting, right? Their Black Ops. Their new Black Ops that they may launch, that may actually launch the Cold War series on the new platforms. They have the money and the resources and the connections to build that. Yeah. Maybe. We'll throw a maybe out there. People like CD Projekt, though, they're launching Cyber, you know? Like, Cyberpunk is coming out as a PS4 and Xbox and PC setup, right? And it's going to be a port. So, like, they're not working on a new Witcher for the new system. They've been working on this game tirelessly for like the past 8 years. I think I saw it was 8 years since the last trailer came out. Who knows if it's been longer? By the way, highest revenue European video game company as of this year. That means that they surpassed Ubisoft, which is very fascinating. But look at that, like Ubisoft, like they're not, dude. Rainbow Six Siege is killing it. They don't need to build a brand new Rainbow Six Siege game. Valhalla is, believe it or not, everybody, it is meant for the PS4 and Xbox. It is not meant for PS5. And we did a session on that with Valhalla. So we're going to get another port. It's probably going to be mostly ports, man. And, fun and games. I mean, the games are going to be great. The ports are always fine. But, like, we're not going to get any exclusives that are meant for the PlayStation 5, I don't think, right off the bat. And if we do, I'll be super, super happy.
Yeah, obviously we want that, but I'm not going to set the bar low here. So it would be really cool. It would be really cool if they showed off Cyberpunk at the conference. Like, that would be cool if that were one of the games. Because Cyberpunk's been kind of nearing the end of its production. So, like, and they've obviously showed demos. We've seen demos before of Cyberpunk on PC or whatever it is, but like, it would be kind of cool to see one on PlayStation. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. I don't know where their loyalties lie, if they're an Xbox or PlayStation type, who's paying them the most money. But it might happen. We might get that. I don't know. That would be kind of cool. I don't know what other games are coming out. What other games are there that would be impressive? What we'd be shocked to see out there?
There was a lot of racing games that were mentioned, like Dirt and like World Rally Racing. Honestly, if anything shows off graphics, like if you're gonna show a racing game, I would love to see Turismo drop out. Like they come out of left field and they're like, yo, by the way, here's the new Turismo game. We've been working on this for 11 years. And they just fucking hit you right in the face with it. And you're just like, all right, this is like a good looking game, right? Like it's always been a good looking game. And you get the same game every time, but it's a fucking car simulator. Right?
Yeah.
It's like Farm Simulator except on cars and racing. So it's like no different. It's just that you're gonna get, like, if you want the graphics and you want that 60 frames, you want the 1080p, you want no frame rate whatsoever, like you want fluidity. It's a great game to show off. Another one that actually Steelman I would love to see is if they took a classic PlayStation game and totally revamped it for PlayStation 5, remastered specifically for 5. I think it would be a little bit easier. Something like, you're not going to get Tenchu because we got Ghost coming out, but you may potentially get like a Metal Gear, which would be totally awesome. Kojima, although they just launched Last Standing. Was that right? Last Standing?
No, Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Close enough, guys.
Close enough,
Eat my shit.
Yeah.
But like, he could potentially push out something. And then you look at the bigger companies like Ubisoft, you look at Activision, you look at Sledgehammer, you look at 2K. They have potentials to push something out. But honestly, the only other thing I can think of is like Little Big Planet for PlayStation 5, which I'm not really into. I don't. That's fine. Yeah. I don't need it.
Little Big Planet was a cool game. The first one, I played the first and second one, I think. Initially, they're pretty cool games. I mean, not something I'm going to be, jump out of my shorts excited to play, but like...
Art direction, beautiful.
They were beautiful games. They were cool. They were unique in the fact that you could like grab onto stuff and swing around and you could wave your hands around and stuff. That was kind of cool. But I remember I was watching PS4 announcement and they did like Knack was their go-to. Remember Knack? I never played Knack, but they'll probably have something like that. They'll probably have something lame like Knack that they're gonna do, and it's just gonna be a money grab. Yeah, but it's probably for like the young gamers. They have to have something for the young gamers so they can ask for it for Christmas.
The young gamers who can afford a fucking $500-$600 system that's gonna pop out.
Mommy and daddy, mommy,
daddy. I need money, please. I'll tell you, man, like, hey, you're absolutely right. If you could have one game, though, like if you could pull back a remastered, what would you like to see remastered on PlayStation 5?
Ooh, Siphon Filter, Tenchu. I do like Tenchu. That was a fun game for me. I don't know, man. What was the other one? Tom Clancy one. The guy with the thing. Splinter Cell.
Ooh,
but that wasn't a PlayStation. Wasn't it Xbox originally? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it was on both, but Splinter Cell was on both. That would be.
Or
really
maybe it was PC at first. I think it was.
I did hear rumors potentially of a remastered Battlefield that could be out there. And specifically, if you take the entire Battlefield series, 3 was one of the strongest ones that was out there. There could be a potential remastering of 3. That was in the brushes out there, which is fine. Take a game that works, DICE, because you already created a bunch of dog shit. Take a game that works, put in all new shit, but keep the same game, and people will eat it up like Rob.
Put it $40. I don't want $60 remake. I don't know where you saw that. I haven't seen that yet. That's actually exciting. Like a Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3 remake would be kind of cool. But let's just remember the last time Battlefield 4 was ported over to the PlayStation 4, how long it took to get right. It took about a year for them to figure out all the lag issues and all that stuff that went on, the netcode. So,
well, for all you daily rage quitters out there, Steelman and I are suckers for Battlefield anyway. We're going to buy the game on opening day anyway, even though we know a fucking fact that is going to be dog shit when it first launches. We know it. But we're going to do it because we're Battlefield enthusiasts.
We are.
And Call of Duty came out with their new shit. So we have a couple things, and what's really fun is these predictions really can span now. We could talk about these for hours, but stealing from this point, I think we got to wait till we hear a little bit more from the conference. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we'll be back after the conference with our thoughts, more predictions, and our reactions to what they do announce. More importantly, though, those new predictions, man. I think my brain's going to explode once I hear them talk a little bit. I'm going to be like, oh, man, they're going to come out with this. They're going to do this. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think we're both really excited to see what they announce here. Two things to really watch is the controller and the audio. I think those are the two things that are really underrated in this that Sony's kind of doing, and I think they can make some big announcements during this thing that you're going to be like, wow, that's where they're going with this. Holy crap! Like, for example, they talked about possibly mapping your hearing, like figuring out how you hear a game and how your ears hear, because everyone's ears are very different, and using that to create a sound profile for you. And like that is really cool to me, because immersion is, audio is like kind of the undiscovered or unexplored frontier of gaming. It's there, we utilize it. Some games are better at it than others, but from a console and hardware perspective, no one's really tried to tackle that. And if Sony does that, they could come out as console winners here. I think that could be the key to winning this generation console war. So we'll see.
Bring me to the ear doctor, baby. Let me hear some buzzes and noises, map out my hearing, and let me know how different I am. Beep, boop, beep, boop. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Rage Quit. Be sure to subscribe down below. We want to keep these videos going and keep you guys fucking informed. Of course, like or dislike. You need to know if you like it or not. Shit's our shit, right? And of course, comment down below. Keep the conversation going. We want to hear more about what you think your predictions are and what our predictions were for the PlayStation 5 conference. Stay tuned. Take care. And the Daily Rage Quit. Peace.
Be safe.